The hardest part is when you do a lot of these lives, sometimes you're inspired and you have something to say to kind of introduce the topics. Today, not so much. I, I don't want to tell a story other than my own story, I guess. Because what I tried to do is take on a lot of the math components that you guys generally struggle with. Either the first time that you were observing it, maybe you missed it that day because of school, maybe you had multiple teachers that school year. I don't know what the factors are, but now you have to take a test. And guess what? I know how to break it down. I don't know where this came from, but all I know is when I come here, I just try to give you guys encouragement. And apparently, I must be doing such a good job that people just don't want me to be around. Let's put it that way. So, I know you guys just want me to do math, so here we go. So, a military logistics officer is ordering two types of specialized communication radios for a newly deployed unit. So, when we see word problems like this, immediately your brain's going to be like, no. So, that's why I always say if you are going to be dealing anything with word problems, go straight to the question. So they want to know how many Model B radios were ordered. Well, that means there had to be a Model A radio that was ordered. So before you do anything, you want to have your key. What's going to be Model A and what's going to be Model B. So I'm going to say X is going to be my Model A and Y will be my Model B. If you want to use A and B, you can. There's no problem with that. But now we need to go into to see what's happening. They're telling us that Model A radios cost $200 each. Model B radios cost $300 each. And the other thing that they're giving us is in total, the officer orders 60 radios. And the entire order is exactly 14,500. So notice how we're just pulling information out. We are doing a comparison of two things, not just Model A and Model B radios. We're doing a comparison of radios and the money. So whatever they total, that's kind of giving you the hint that we're going to have two equations. One equation is going to be about the radios, and the other equation is going to be about the money. So when we look at our two equations, we can do our radios first and then our money. So we know Model A and we have Model B, and how many total radios we got is 60. So that's why you got your X plus your Y equals 60. Because you're talking about just the radios. Your second equation, by the way, is going to be about the money. So we said that it's $200 each for Model A. So if it's $200 each, so we're talking about 200x. And if it's $300 each for radio B, so that's 300y. And the total cost is going to be your 14,500. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a system of equation. Joshua, this is not the day. Go ahead and go, baby. This is not the platform. Okay? So now, when we have two equal signs, or two equations, now we need to go back to the question. So the question says, how many Model B radios were ordered? So we know that X is representing the Model A and Y is representing the Model B. So we need to solve this system of equations for the Model B, which is my Y's. Okay? So in order for us to do this, we have to do one of three ways. We could graph it, but that's going to take time. We could solve for X in the first equation to substitute it to put it in terms of Y, or we can do what's called elimination. I will show you the last two ways, and you get to pick which way you like best. So for the first way, we're going to do substitution. So let me come bring it on down here, and let me rewrite the formula. So we have X plus Y is equal to 60. And we have our 200X plus 300Y is equal to 14,500. And we're going to do substitution. So what we're doing, remember what our question is. So our question is how many Radio B or Model B radios they are. And we said that Model B is representing Y. So that means we want to solve this system for Y. That also means we need to get rid of the X's. So what will be the best thing in order for me to get the X's so I can solve to get Y is to solve this first equation for X. So if I need to solve this for X, that means I have to do the inverse of adding Y. I have to subtract Y. So my new equation is going to be X equals 60 minus Y, because I had to subtract Y on both sides. Reason why I have it as X equals, because if I'm going to substitute, I'm going to substitute this expression, 60 minus Y, in the other equation for the X. So that means X is coming out of the game, 60 minus Y is going in. So it's going to look like this. We have our 200. Going to have a parenthesis. So what's coming in is our 60 minus Y. Okay, don't give up on yourself. Why? Because it's hard? It's been a minute. This is why it's a 4-point question on the GED. Okay? So now, when we do our substitution, now we're going to do our distributive property. So 200 times 60. 200 times 60 will give me what? Thank you, Brenda. Okay, gives us our 12,000. Okay, 2 times 6 is 12, and then you have 1, 2, 3 zeros, so we add 1, 2, 3 zeros. Minus 200 times y gives us 200y. Then we're going to bring down everything. Okay. Yeah, some people do, Gene. Some people do. All right. Or they just want to refresh for I don't know why. So now let's focus on this part. I notice that right here we have like terms. The reason why they're like is because they both have the same variable with the same degree, which is a degree of 1. So 200 plus 300, that gives me 100. Someone said that earlier. All right, and since it's a positive 100, we're going to make this into a plus. And then we're going to bring everything else down. So now we're saying, hey, we're going to put all our y's on the left-hand side. That means this 12,000 needs to go to the right-hand side. So it is a positive 12,000 because if I go to the left of it, I don't see a minus sign or a negative. So I have to do the inverse, which is subtract the 12,000. So 12,000 minus 12,000 will give me 0, but I don't need that placeholder because I still have my 100y that needs to come down. So now I subtract, so I have my 0, I have my 0, I have my 5, 4 minus 2, and I have my 2,500. You're starting college in the fall. No problem, Kimberly. It's perfect for learning. Thank you. Alright, so now what we need to do is to get y by itself. So we have 100 times y, so we have to do the inverse, which is divide by 100. Hundreds will cancel out on the left-hand side, bringing down our y. So 2,500 divided by 100. This is the best time to leave it as a fraction because they both end with 2 sets of zeros. So why not do this? Cancel, cancel. So all that's left is 25 over 1, which is simplified to 25. Okay? Yeah. So instead of you trying to do long division, if they have, especially when they end with zeros, and if they both have zeros, you can just cancel them out and then get it simplified. So what does this 25 mean? So let me show. Every time we get an answer, we go back to the original question. So the original question was, how many Model B radios were ordered? And we said from the very beginning that Y is going to represent the Model B radios. Okay, So since y is going to represent that, that means we have 25 Model B radios. So your answer for this particular question would be B, which is 25. Okay. All right. It takes practice. It takes practice. Thank you, Chris. Okay. Because remember, I didn't come out the womb understanding math. Like when I said in the beginning, I was just like you. Exactly. I wasn't given too many opportunities. I've had teachers come in. Some people used math as punishment. So when they were using math as punishment, they always had math before recess. And if you ever had a question, you did not want to be that kid that raised their hand and said, can you do one more? Can you explain it? No, because everybody wanted to go to recess. So you suffered in silence. And then it built up, and then it built up, then it turned to resentment, then it turned to embarrassment, and then what do we do as human beings? We either fight or we flight. I got sick and tired, so I wanted to fight. Okay? So slowly but surely, I started learning, and then all of a sudden, someone just told me that fractions, because I used to hate fractions, is nothing but division. And it just clicked. I don't know why, it just clicked. Next thing you know, I'm taking all these courses to be a math teacher, because that's God. That wasn't me. All right? We're in school, right? And then it does. It takes the initial learning. And then I had a teacher in high school, unfortunately my junior and senior year, that actually took these concepts and broke it down step by step instead of like, you should know this. Okay? So this was one way. Okay? This was substitution. Let me show you the other way. The other way is elimination. So let me take this away. I'm just using the same problem, but then I like to give you guys choices because it might be something that you're like, ooh, I like that way better. Because there's always more than one way of getting your answer. Alright, so here's the system. The first way we did it was with substitution. Now we're going to do it with what's called elimination. So we are going to eliminate one of our variables. Okay? So when it comes to eliminating our variables, we're doing the same question. We're still trying to find how many Model B radios, and we already indicated that Y is going to represent my B radios. So with that being in mind, that means I want to eliminate my X's. True story. Okay? But in order for me to eliminate, like remember how we used to do math vertically back in the day when we had like 25 over 10, and we would just actually go 5 plus 0, that's 5, 2 plus 1, that's 3, just like that. Same thing is happening here. But in order for me to eliminate, let me cover this up. In order for me to eliminate, they have to have the same number and the signs have to be opposite. Meaning one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So in order for me to cancel out my x's, I don't want to do any dividing. That gets kind of tricky because then that forces you into fractions. And I know how you feel about fractions. Okay, trust me, I understand. So it'll be easy for me to multiply. But if I can multiply this x by a negative 200, because I know if I do the distributive property, that would be a negative 200x. So a negative, if I want to add to the positive, it will cancel my x's out. But here's the trick. Good morning. Oh, it's Miss. Yeah, I'm not Mrs. anymore. Thank you, though, Alicia. Okay? But in order for me to multiply, I got to multiply this whole entire equation. Okay? So when I'm multiplying, I'm basically distributing this negative 200 to everything in that top equation. So when we do that, I like to put a little arrow. We have our negative 200x. Then we have our negative 200y. If you put a plus negative 200y, you can do that. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Bring my equals. And then negative 200 times 60 will give me my negative 12,000. Because 6 times 2 is 12, and we had 1, 2, 3 zeros, so we put 1, 2, 3 zeros. Okay. Oh, I know. Little twist. But what do I do with the equation in the bottom? All I do is shift it over so it can line up. Okay, so now these equations no longer exist. Now you're going to focus your attention on these two equations. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add these two equations together vertically. So this is what happens when you add them vertically. Negative 200 plus a positive 200, well, they cancel each other out. And it gives you 0. But we don't need 0 as a placeholder. Okay? Because we still have this negative 200 plus 300. And that gives us 100. Y. Not 100y squared, just 100y. Because we're combining like terms. Bring down your equals. So now we're combining negative 12,000 with a positive 1450. The signs are different, so that means we're subtracting. Okay, which are 20. So we have our 0. We have our 0, we have our 5, and we have our 2. Okay, so it's going to be 2,500. Okay, there you go, commenter. Did you know what to do? Okay. So now we're going to solve for y. So it's 100y, so that's 100 times y. The inverse of multiplication is division. Cancel out the hundreds. That means 100 divided by 100 gives me 1. 1y and y is exactly the same thing. So even if you put the 1 in front of the y and you're like, oh, but my answer choice has y, it's the same thing. Okay, don't waste time by dividing everything by 1. Because you divide anything by 1, it's still going to be itself. So now, here we go. We can cancel out one set of zeros. We can cancel out another set of zeros. So what remains is 25 over 1, which can be simplified with 25. Okay. So this is called elimination. Okay, and depending on when you got here, we basically got the same answers. Okay. This way we did with substitution. Okay. Let's see if I can put it all the way up. Okay, so this way we did with substitution, and this way we did elimination. Okay, so you can choose which way best suits you. The reason why system of equations, if you're taking a high school equivalency exam, GED, okay, reason why they're higher levels, look at how much work you have to do. If you forget a negative and you made a negative positive or a positive negative that you wasn't supposed to, it will change the the demographics, there you go, of the problem. Okay. All right, good. So you have to figure out which way works best for you. But this is the one thing I keep noticing with some of the influencers. They said, do which works best for you. But you guys don't know which works best for you until someone shows you the answer choices that you can make. Okay? So some may say elimination, some may say substitution. But notice you get the same answer. All right? All right. So let's take a look at a couple of our extension cards. Okay, so if anything, if you want more practice, and I think this is where I guess I should apologize to you guys, because sometimes when I show problems, they're coming directly from a lot of my books. Okay, and this is coming from my ASVAT for math practice book. And sometimes I'm feeling like, oh, you guys need to know, how to do this, you need to know how to do this. And some of you guys are taking the test in about 2 to 3 weeks. And you're already on freak out zone. And you're like, will I have enough time to learn all of this and still be able to apply? So I apologize. Because sometimes the teacher and me just like, learn it and then you can practice it and then you'll be successful. And I understand when you get older, you ain't got time. So there are times, if you want, I am having this ASVAT and math practice for sale. It is in the link in my profile. Okay, there's like 3 quizzes and a bonus quiz that you can actually sit down. Okay, so we also have like another system of equations type thing. You can actually sit down and try to do as many problems as you can for each quiz, because the way you have to practice the way you're going to assess. But the difference between what I do and what someone else does is that I have one that gives you video answers. Not just answers at the back, like, okay, the first one was A, the second one was B, the second one was C, or the third one was C. I actually show you step by step how we got the correct answer. So if you want access to the ASVAT math practice books with the video, as well as the practice books with the video explanation, now this one is 6 full-length tests. Okay, some of them, especially the 6th one, is a little bit harder because the Accuplacer does have a little more advanced stuff in there, but you can definitely use this. And I also have a version where I have a video answer key, which means all 210 questions that's in this book, I am actually working out each and every problem. So you can see step by step how we solve those questions. Combine like terms or to switch them. Okay. So to switch them? At least talk to me about switch them. Switch them. Oh, like keep, change, switch? Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. If I'm multiplying, if I'm adding, let me put it this way. If you're adding after you do the keep, change, switch, like we did yesterday, after you do that for subtraction, then you combine like terms. So you're always doing the combination of like terms. Okay, but for subtraction, that's when you do the keep, change, flip. After you do that, then you add them. Then you combine your like terms. I think that's what you're talking about, because the last time that I saw you, that's what we were doing. All right, so let's do some extension. Let's translate this. Okay, put it in the chat if you do have a moment. Okay, how do we translate that? Okay. How do you translate that algebraically? Okay, Olivia is saying 11 minus n. Okay. It's not an answer, Kimberly. We're actually just going to translate it from verbiage to an algebraic expression. Okay, so it's not going to be equals, because we don't know what the number is. Okay, perfect. So how would I translate this? Because this is another way of setting up or practicing how to do your word problems. So is that Davia is saying x minus 11. Okay, Alicia's saying 11 minus n. Okay, let's see if we can do one more. Thanks for the follow. Let's see if we can have one more person. Kimberly's not sure. Now, if you're not sure, you can put a question mark. That's still an answer, because I don't want to stress you out. We're already stressed out because we're actually doing math early Monday morning in our own will. Okay, I got you. All right, so thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your honesty. Appreciate it. Oh, Malia, how are you? Okay, so decreased by. Decreased by is an operation. All right, decreased by means there's subtraction. So what is being decreased by? 11 is being decreased by a number. So that means your 11 is minus a number. Now the number can be X, the number could be N, it could be any letter of the alphabet except for I and E. Okay? I and E are actual numbers. Yeah. Just learned something new today, right? So decreased by is minus. It's not going to be flipped. Okay, it's not saying it's less than. It's saying, it doesn't say the word is. Okay, and so that's not going to be an inequality. It's just saying 11 decreased by a number. So the number is the one that's decreasing. Okay. All right. So we see this. You okay, Kimberly? All right. So now I have 4 extension cards, which I made tons. So I want to extend this so we can practice solving. Okay, last semester, yep. So which ones do you want? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Put it in the chat and I'll take the majority. Which card should I pick? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Okay, so I see number 2, I see number 4, I see 3, I see 2, okay. I see 3, all right, we got a tie with that. 3, okay. 3, 3, all right. 3, okay, Olivia, I already saw you. All right. Boo. All right, so it looks like the majority is coming with 3. So let's take a look what that extension is. All right, remember, so that extension is, so we have 11 decreased by a number is equal to the number increased by 12. All right? How would I translate this? How would I translate this? Alicia's probably like, see, told you pick 2. I should do calculus too. I don't. Yes, there's something missing though. Okay, there is something missing. Yes. Good. 50. Yes. Alicia, good. See, it didn't even bother you, Alicia. Didn't even bother you a minute. Okay, so we have is equal to, so that's our equals. The number, which is the same number that we had, x, n, whichever you want, increased by means addition by what? 12. Okay, there you go. So equals x plus 12. All right. So now we have our equation. Let me kind of put this to the side. And now let's get with solving. Well, thank you. So we want to get our x's on one side of the equal sign. And this is when it gets tough for a lot of people. Because people are like, I don't know where to start. Does that sound like you? If it does, go ahead, put yes in the chat, or me, one of the two. Let's say yes, just put yes. Okay? When you get into an equation, sometimes you just don't know where to go. Okay? Yes. So here's the key. It doesn't matter which side your variable is on. You get the same answer. All right? So if you make a choice by saying, you know what, I want to deal with positive x's, so I want my x's to stay right here, stay on the right-hand side. So that means this x, this minus x, I need to move to the other side of equal sign and pair it up with this x. So since it is a minus x, okay, this minus sign is not going with the 11. It's staying with the x. The signage is always on the left-hand side. You do the inverse of minus. That means you're going to add x. And whatever you do on one side, you do on the other. Okay? So negative x, positive x, they cancel out to give you 0. I don't need to bring the 0 down as a placeholder because I still have this 11 that needs to come down. So here's my 11. Here's my equals. X plus x equals what? There you go, Alicia. Okay, there you go, Olivia. All right, 2x. Thank you, my local weirdo. All right, so you have a 1 assumed to be in front of this x. And here's another 1 that's assumed to be in front of this x. Physically, there are 2 x's here. If I combine them, I'm going to have 2x. All right, not x squared. That's when you multiply them. But when we're adding them, the x or the variable just comes down, but you're combining what's called the coefficients, the numbers in front. Okay, hello Angela. All right, bring down our plus 12. Okay, so now we already know that our 2x is staying right where it is. Okay, so that means this 12 needs to come to the other side. And the reason why I need to move to 12, because the whole goal of solving equations is trying to figure out what number is going to replace the x to make this into a true statement. So we want to isolate our x. So we're not touching the 2 because we still have this extra. So we have to do the inverse of plus 12, which we're going to subtract 12. So positive 12 and negative 12 gives me 0. So that's our placeholder. We can bring down the 2x, bring down the equals. Now we have 11 minus 12. So if I have $11 but I want to spend something that costs $12, that means I am short $1. There you go. Hey, Professor TK. Good morning. All right. So now, negative 1 and 2 equals 2x. So we have to get x by itself. Now this is when you get rid of the 2. So 2x means 2 times x. The inverse of times, or the opposite, is going to be division. And what are we going to divide? By the 2. Okay, there you go. So now you have your x, which is by yourself, and I know it's on the right hand side, and there's a lot of teachers that are cringing right now, like, but it needs to be on the left. It really doesn't matter. Okay? So then once you do your division, you have your fraction of negative 1/2, or if you actually want to divide it, you'll have your negative 5/10. Okay? Same thing. Fraction form, decimal form. Okay. I will actually, well, not today. Unless I come on this afternoon. I'm not sure yet. Okay. Right. But see, here's the thing. It doesn't matter. Even if I do it the other way, because you know me, I like to do it both. Yeah, I just walked right into that one. Okay, so we have our 11 minus x is equal to x plus 12. If I decide to put my x's on the left-hand side, all right, so I'm going to subtract this x. So now you have your 11 minus 2x equals 12. Okay, because we have a negative 1 plus a negative 1. That gives me a negative 2. So if I want to subtract 11, 11 minus 11 will give me 0. So I can bring down my negative 2x equals a positive 1. And then from here, if we divide both sides by negative 2, you'll have your x equals your 1 over negative 2. Okay? Same negative slope. Okay, Olivia, you saw where we went wrong. Okay. Alright, so we get, not slope, but we still get a negative 1/2. Now don't forget, when you have fractions and you're negative, you can have the numerator take over the negative, or, notice I said the word or, the denominator taking over the negative. It will still make it a negative slope. But if you make both of them negative, okay, if I make both of them negative, that means I'm turning it into a positive. Don't forget, when you're dividing integers, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Through multiplication and division, if the signs are the same, your answer is always positive. Okay? Yep, it is the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. Okay? So, I just wanted to show if you put the variable on the right hand side or if you put the variable on the left hand side, you will get the same answer. Alright? So to me, I just like to show you both ways so you don't have to guess anymore. No more guessing. Okay? That's why I like to do the instructional piece. Alright, so let's do one more and then we're going to have to wrap it up. So, something challenging yet not going to hurt you. Let's put it that way. Okay, let's try this one. Let's just try this one. Let's just try this one. You know what? I take this back. You're like, Audrey, I know. It's one of those days. I'll take this back. I want to challenge a little bit. Come on. Just a little of a challenge. A little of a challenge. Just a little bit. Okay, we're still with quotient. We're still with quotient. But quotient of a number and 4 less than 7. Ooh. Okay, now I'm ready. I swear I'm not going to touch it. Okay. The quotient of a number and 4 less than 7. Okay, hey Mel, how are you? Ooh. Okay. So that is going to be crucial. I kind of want to give it away, but I don't want to give it away. Okay, Olivia, I see you as well. And remember, if you're not sure what it is, give me a question mark. Okay, give me a question mark. Okay, don't be embarrassed. You know, don't hold your I just don't know, Audrey. Because how can I help you if you don't tell me? All right? Thank you, Olivia. Thank you, Mila. Okay. All right. So let's take a look. And I think the part that's throwing a lot of people is quotient. Now, the word quotient, that means division. Okay? Quotient is representing division. So the results that you get after you divide, that's your quotient. So we are dividing two things. So what are the two things? So we got the quotient of a number, which I don't know what the number is. So let's say that's x. So I am dividing x and 4. So it looks like x divided by 4. Okay? Anytime they say quotient of, product of, sum of, difference of, that you're dealing with that operation, but there's two things that's normally involved. In this case, it's a number, which I used for x, and 4, which I use for 4. Now, less than 7. This is when it gets tricky. I did see some inequality symbols. If it says is less than, that's an inequality. The difference between the equals and the inequality is when it says is less than, that would have been an inequality. But they're saying less than 7. So that means this quotient of a number and 4 is going to be less than 7. So is the one that's going to carry the minus sign, because that's what less than is, 7. Okay? So when you see less than, that means what was happening before is going to carry that minus sign. So the x over 4 is carrying the minus sign. Okay? So we just have to flip it. So it's not the 7 that's going to be subtraction. It's the quotient of the number in 4 that's going to carry the subtraction. Okay. All right. Okay. So, let's try an extension. You're like, oh God. So, this time, we're just going to do 3 choices. Do you want 1, 2, or 3? Okay, so we're going to extend on this so we can solve. Okay, 2. Everybody's like, we should have listened to Alicia last time. We're going to use 2. Definitely not 3. Okay, 2, 2. All right, Olivia. All right, so far you guys all picked 2. So our extension is identical to 7. Is identical to 7. All right. How would I translate this into an algebraic? I know, right? There you go, Zune. No clue. If something is identical, there we go. All right. So Olivia, just get rid of the n that's in front, and you'll be good to go. Yep. Set it equals. Okay. So we're setting it equals. So we set it equals to 7. All right. I didn't know what was going to come out of here. I love how everybody's like, oh, but it's equal to another 7? That's crazy. Well, let's see what we got. So now, let's solve. Because identical means equals, and then you have 7. So what do we need to do first? Okay. Okay. Exact same. So get rid of the 7. So right now, remember our goal is to isolate our x. So we need to get rid of this 7 first. Not this one. This one. Because we want to get x by itself. So we can't touch this 4 because this lovely positive 7 is in the way. So in order for us to do this, we need to do the inverse, which is subtracting 7 on both sides. So 7 minus 7, that gives us 0. But I don't need the 0 on this side because I still have my negative x over 4. But over here, I have my 7 minus 7. That gives me 0. And I need that 0 as a placeholder because I have nothing left on that right-hand side. Okay, good. So since I don't have anything left, now we can actually take on that idea when to use a 0 and when not to use a 0. Okay, this is a good learning experience. Just kind of came on the fly. All right, so I don't need the 0 over here because I still had that negative x to the 4th to come down. But over here, I have 7 minus 7. I need something because I need to even things out. Okay? So now, I want to get x by itself. I can take on 2 things at the same time. Fractions means division. The inverse of division, there we go with Olivia, is we're multiplying. So if I multiply both sides by what? We can multiply by 4, but there's something else we can do. We can do 2 things at one time here. What was the other place? There you go, Ortiz. Yes. Okay, not the x. You want to leave the x alone. But we want to get rid of this negative. So we can multiply both sides by a negative 4. Because when you do that, 4 divided by 4 gives you 1. So instead of having that negative linger around, go ahead and get rid of it there. So now, on the left-hand side, what's left is just going to be the x. Okay. Yep, so now it becomes positive. So now 0 times negative 4, anything times 0 is 0. Okay. Yep. So x equals 0. Now, this is the teaching version of it. Now, if you're testing, obviously, if you know that, oh, I'm going to get a 0 over here, regardless of what you do on both sides, anything multiplied by 0 is going to be 0. So if you catch it early, you're like, oh, my answer is going to be 0. Go ahead, click it, bubble it, do whatever you need to do when you're taking the test. I'm showing you where things are coming in. So when you understand the concept and you understand how to think a little bit with the math, then when you see those little additional clues, you can get your answers naturally. Instead of me teaching you tips how to do this on the test and how to do that on the test, we don't know how the test is going to be worded. They have a test bank. They change the test each and every time. You don't get the exact same test. Okay? So that's why I tried to teach so it represents that way. All right? Okay. So, again, if you enjoy being here and breaking down concepts, okay, instead of a positive 4, it's a negative 4 when you're dividing. Well, since the x had a negative, I just basically killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I know it's a horrible phrase, but here we are. Okay, so that's how I just made it positive. Just do it all at once instead of multiplying both sides by 4 and then now you have a negative x, which we psychologically always forget to bring down the negative. So why not address it early so you don't have to worry about another thing as you're breaking it down. Okay. Okay. Yes. Since the x was negative. Okay. So all we have to do is when there is only one negative sign. Okay. When there's 2, that means you have to make it positive because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. All right. So again, if you go to the link in my profile, as soon as I can get my profile up. Oops. Skip ads. So many ads. Not necessary. Okay. So if you just click on my profile picture, I know there's a glare, sorry. All right, but if you come all the way down to here, you'll have the Stand Store, Math by Audrey. Once you click on that, you can go into my Stand Store. And then when you scroll just slightly, you got this free math checkup. So if you want to check on your skills, like do I know division? Do I really know distributive property? Do I know how to do system of equations? Do I know how to do factoring? Anything that generally I see that's on the test, I kind of did a sampler for you. Okay, so if you really want to just check on your skills, you just click on the button. Here's a little rundown, and then you just put your name and your email address, and then the quiz will actually go to your email. Now here's the thing. If you look at it and you just say, Audrey, I don't remember doing any of this stuff. I'm completely lost. I'd rather you message me and say that to me. I know it's probably going to be the hardest thing because you're like, oh, you're going to think I'm an idiot. Like, no. Can you use your school email? If it can go into it, yeah. I'm not sure why, but here we go. All right. Okay, just remembering those inverse rules. Yes. Okay, so if you are like, if you're thinking about it, I have all of these features. I have a lot of my cards that's in here. A lot of the stuff that's here is downloadable. So I have a few systems. But as I mentioned, even though I have my few systems and my ebooks with a video answer key, that's basically all of my stuff and the prices with it. If there's like a particular book with a particular concept that you just want to practice on, hey, I have for my Algebra at Your Pace. Within the Algebra at Your Pace books, you get a video recording of me breaking down each and every concept in each of these books. And also, you can get the answer key, a breakdown answer key of the extra practice problems as well as the quiz. So you just click on whichever one that you're thinking of. But then here's the part. Say that you have to take this test in about, well, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. Okay, you could just do some of my practice books that I have here, as I mentioned before. But if you want guided practice, okay, this is the practice test, and I do video solutions or video recordings of the answer keys. Unlike a lot of other workbooks out there, a lot of them will just have the answer or they'll put some kind of descriptive. But if you're not strong in math, how can you understand the descriptive? You say, okay, the answer is B. So next thing you know, all you're doing is memorizing. Where for me, I actually put a video breakdown of how I did each and every one of the exams. So if you're interested in those, they're here. But if you want a physical book, okay, so here's all my lovely resources, exponents. We're just working on this one, the verbal. If you desperately say, you know what, I'd rather have the physical copy, come all the way down to the bottom where it says physical books and resources on the A. Okay, this will actually take you to a link in my website, and it will kind of give you the breakdown of each of the books to see which one is best for you. Now, since it is a thicker book, your physical book, creating the book because it's made on demand, that's why the price is high, and plus a lot of the stuff inside the book is in color. So if money is the problem, which I know it's a lot for us, for everybody, okay, give you a little small display. This is basically what the books look like, okay. You get all the breakdown of it. It gives you room for you to take notes. It gives you extra practice problems, and at the end, it gives you an assessment. Okay, it gives you some kind of assessment. And then at the very back of the book, you get tons of resources and also some extra practice by looking at matching cards. So that's all you can get. Okay. So all of this is there for your viewing. Again, if you do the free math checkup, and you want me to take a look at your answers, please take a picture of it and send it to me as a DM here on TikTok. Okay? Dividing rational expressions? Yes, Kareem, yes. So I cover all of rational, I cover the radicals, I cover the basic of statistics, that's mean, median, mode, range, anything that is on the ASVAT, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, and GED. Okay, all that's covered. Now, if you just want, sorry, I'm going to make this really fast because I don't want you guys to get dizzy. So, if you notice right here, okay, so volume 910, rational functions, how you simplify it, how you graph it, okay, the algebraic problem solving, and also some practice. Okay. EC, yeah, that's for elementary. I usually don't. Yeah. But if you are looking for like some of the basic concepts of the math just as a refresher, yeah, you can look at that. And also, if you want, you can go to my YT channel, okay? If you just click on it, if you go to the Stand Store, you can go to my YT channel, and then you'll see a lot of my replays. Here you go, TikTok Lives Uncut. Okay, a lot of my replays of my lives are here. So take a look, because you might be able to find something. This is before I became all fancy with my thumbnails. Okay, but it will give you like an idea if you want to go there. Okay, so go ahead, subscribe. It's right here. So if you go to the link, I try to put everything that you need in here. So if you go to the link in my bio, oops, fat fingers. There you go. All you have to do is just click onto the link and it'll take you straight to the stand store. Okay? But if you have any questions, I'd rather you ask a question before you start purchasing. Okay? Don't just say, "Oh, Audrey, can I have you as a tutor? And this is what I need and that what." I understand. Like, you really just need the assistance that you need. Talk to me. Okay? Talk to me. Because, like, even with rolling, I'm not even sure what the EC6 is. I want to say it's probably elementary up to grade 6. Because in Maryland, we will say it's something different. Okay? All right? So, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Click on my face. That's what the profile is, elementary. Okay. So yeah, just click on my face. If anything, with the whole breakdown. If anything, I'm not even sure if she's still. If anything, message me, Rolling, because I might be able to connect you with an elementary school teacher that's here on TikTok and see if they have any stuff that they share with you guys. So if anything, please message me, because one, that helps me to remember that I said this, and two, I'll be able to just connect you right away. Okay? But if you have any questions, do not hesitate whatsoever to ask. And I will probably definitely see you tomorrow morning. Not a problem. Either tomorrow morning, or if I do have time for this afternoon, I might start doing some factoring this afternoon. I'm not sure what time. Okay, I have no idea. I'm just going to try to make it work. Okay? All right, everyone. Have an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Take care.